Hello, my name is Tony Riggs from GoEngineer. I am a senior applications engineer. I was asked to help put together a webinar, and we came up with this idea of 3D printed fidget spinners. I know they're going crazy. We'll see how long the fad continues to last. But we've been playing with them here for a while and having a little bit of fun. Now I got a disclaimer, 3D printers are tools, they're not toys. We get in trouble when we call them toys. Yeah, whatever. They are very, very useful, and I'm going to try to teach you a few things from what I've learned with playing with these 3D printed fidget spinners, and not just show you pictures of fidget spinners. I watched a bunch of different reviews of the different style of fidget spinners that are out there. Some are crazy, some are pretty boring, but we'll see what kind of fun we can have with these. I got a couple little bullet points on the PowerPoint here. I'm not going to go into presentation mode. I'm just going to do it this way because I'm going to flip back and forth between a few different applications. But some of the topics here, getting started. How did I get started? Starting off simple, or maybe a little more fancier example. We'll look at some options inside SOLIDWORKS with sketch pictures. Inserting pauses with the software on 3D printer to change the color. A couple ideas on inserting parts during the build. And then some 3D printed versions that we've done, and kind of going through some different options. So I ran into a few friends of mine who had these. They're both drummers and were always liking to move their fingers with the drumsticks and everything. And they were playing with these things. And it took me probably 6 months to notice that they were actually playing with something that was 3D printed. So I took a picture of one and kind of went from there. So I'm going to flip over to SOLIDWORKS real quick and kind of show you an idea of what I started with. If any of you have messed with sketch pictures, they help a lot when doing things, I guess, more creatively. What I've basically done is I've pulled in on one of the sketch planes just the JPEG image from my camera phone, and then use that to kind of go in and trace over the outline of the part. We know we want to keep the bearing hole. The default size is 22 millimeters. Whether you go under a little bit and get a little bit more of a press fit, and then coming in and rounding it off and putting some fillets on the sides. And I just use that sketch picture to help lay things out. And once I'm done with that, I can hide it and keep on going from there. But I've just got kind of a layout sketch with some of the different sizes. It makes it very easy to go in and make changes to the shape. Maybe I want it a little larger, bigger radiuses here and there. So that's kind of the beginning of where everything started. Looking back at the PowerPoint, it says the rest is history. We've got a couple different versions that we're going to start off with here. We'll look at doing a pause here in a second, and then some components inside the build. We'll look at sketch pictures a little bit more with this second model. In the software for the printer, though, if we go in and just hit the green flag, it'll process it, figures out where the support material needs to go. But I'm going to come in and just slice the part up. And we're going to look at the pause tool. So I'm seeing all the layers there, and I can page up and down through the layers, and I get up to the point where I'm page up, page down. There's the first layer of logo letters. From the toolpath pull down, I can insert a pause, and the trick here is you got to select the layer that you want the pause on. If I say OK, it's going to leave that one highlighted. If I go back and look at all the layers, we can kind of see that one layer that's highlighted there. Now the one thing, if you're using Insight here to control your Stratasys printer, if I get out of the pause mode, sometimes it worries people that the pause is not visible anymore. To calm us down, if we go back and check insert pause, it's highlighted. It's just not going to highlight while we're not in that pause mode. So here, what we were doing, we're going in and we're just printing it for a while and switching over to a different color to let the images, you know, stand out a little bit better. Okay, so definitely when you're going through and controlling that sort of thing, the colors that you pick are going to be, well, they got to be flattering to each other, right? So we've got a couple different pictures, a couple different versions that we've done. You know, red, white, and blue version, and it's just a matter of going in and changing the color there, and see the logo kind of pop a little bit more. Okay. Going back over to SOLIDWORKS, we've got a little bit more involved version. In this version, I've gone in and again used a couple sketch pictures for the, you know, I'm in Houston, so we've got to make everything about the Houston sports teams. And I use sketch pictures to kind of trace around the logos there, to be able to pull that in. And what I've got here is a multi-body part. Okay, so each of the different pieces is a different body. I did that so I could, you know, export them out a little bit differently. I printed the logos on our Stratasys J750 printer, and the main body on this one I went ahead and did on Fortis 250 or 400 that we've got here. So fairly fun little deal. The other idea that I've got here with the pauses, I'm going to come in with a section view. You know, some people like their fidget spinners with a little bit more weight. What I've done in this section view, you can see a small little printed disc that we have here, and a pocket underneath. The idea here is I'm going to put a pause in right at the top of this ledge here, and I'm going to drop a nickel into each of the 3 lobes. And then, because I don't like printing straight on top of the metal component, I've got a printed disc here that's you know, fairly thin. It's like it's just, you know, 2 layers of model material, and then I resume the build and it'll print right over the top of that layer. So it's kind of a nice little idea here. So to kind of look at the finished version, here's the nickel and the small disc, and then the finished version of the spinner. We've got the U of H logo on there as well. So we really like the little center buttons. It gives you something to hold on to. Takes a little bit less skill to hold on to that and get the thing to spin nicely. So that's, you know, option number 1. Let's go back over to our PowerPoint. The next thing I'm going to look at is another place where we can, you know, use our CAD tools to have some fun with it. I took our company logo and stuck it inside of this clear part. So this is off of the Stratasys J750 again. And it's just a multi-body part that is you know, fairly easy to do. Now we've got a couple different pieces of the logo that we all want to be green. So what I can do is if I come in and control select or shift select all those bodies, if I go file save as, I can save that as a single STL file. So I'm not having to save out each individual body as one STL, but maybe I'll have a green STL file and a clear STL file. So I've only got really the 2 files, and then I'll pull that those 2 files into PolyJet Studio or grab CAD Print to generate the model. Now I said I did this on the J750. We've got the fairly clear spinner there. You know, right off the machine, we're going to have a bit of a matte finish because of the support material that's around it. But I've done some light wet sanding on some of the parts. I found that if you've got the right clear coat, it actually doesn't matter too much. So I'm actually using this Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel, and it just takes a couple coats on the part, and then this guy will look just as clear as this spinner once it's been clear coated. Okay, so it's just the Rust-Oleum crystal clear. There's also a matte clear that's kind of fun. It'll give you a little bit different finish. So maybe some light scrubbing with like a Brillo pad to get all the support material all the way off, and then a nice clear part afterwards. Another option that we've got here with the J750 is a full color print, and we actually did print the bearings themselves. So if we come in and look at the Grab CAD Print, this is kind of an interesting tool for, it works with most of the Stratasys printers. And what I've done here, if you notice, this is actually showing a SOLIDWORKS part file. So this is a multi-body part file, and I've got all the different bodies. If I come in on one of the different bodies, I can go to the settings, and if I want to change the color of the component, I can do that. You can see some of the balls and the logos are all colored. Another kind of interesting thing, and you can do this with assemblies or multi-body part files, is this assemble button. So no, I definitely don't think I would want to print this all separately. But if you do have an assembly, it's kind of nice to break out all the different components and not have to save out individual STL files. Okay, so it's a kind of an interesting color mix on the little ball bearings. But even with the 3D printed version, it seems to print pretty good. The nice thing about the object material is going to be fairly heavy and spin fairly nicely. Okay. Going back over to the PowerPoint, we've got some other interesting things. This is one that Jeff came up with. We've always wanted to 3D print bearings. We've had bearing examples for years, but when we did it with the spinner, we've actually got one with the printed ball bearings all on FDM. So it's kind of an interesting piece. So if we go in and look at that, it actually spins fairly nicely, considering that all the balls were printed. It's a matter of removing the support material inside. We've had bearings like this for a long time, being able to go in and roll those. And like the PowerPoint said, if we take this and turn it into a spinner, how big could that be? Well, we may see something like that in the future for us. Okay. So what other fun things have we done? So I mentioned Jeff earlier. He's our injection mold expert. We're actually playing with a small injection molding tool that we've got down in our lab. You may have seen his webinar on the 3D printed mold. So of course we had to go in and kind of play with the spinner as well. So we've got a version with the GoEngineer logo on there, and this version of the mold doesn't have the bug logo on there, but these were printed in a Vero clear material. You can kind of see where the injection point was for the mold, but we were able to pop off a couple of these out of the mold fairly quickly. Got a couple different colors. So it just gives you kind of an idea of a few different applications that we can go with. Now, Jeff also played with this a little bit as well. We've got a kind of an interesting looking version here. At first you may not see what it really looks like. And I'm going to try and pull our little movie over here onto the screen and let it play. If you watch it long enough, and I've got it kind of looping, it's kind of like a little kaleidoscope type deal. If you spin it fast enough, all the different pieces of the logo are going to create the little bug image. I don't know that I can quite get it going that fast on the screen. Yeah, you get the idea. You maybe see it there a little bit. But it's kind of an interesting idea, again with a printed bearing there in the middle. Okay. So we looked at the software for the pauses. It's going to be coming from Insight, or even Catalyst for the smaller U-prints have the ability to insert pauses. So it's just under Toolpath, insert pause. And then GrabCAD, the nice thing about it is being able to bring in the assemblies as well as, you know, multi-body parts and explode or not explode them. And then with the J750 being able to come in and print things in multiple colors, you know, all at once. We've got a couple other extras that are kind of fun to play with. So here I've got another version that we kind of played with, but we actually took it into SOLIDWORKS simulation. And if I come in and maybe show the results, so these are the stress analysis results. With the properties here, I've turned off the deformed state, so we don't want it to be, you know, warped any at all. But we've got the ability here to go in and do a file save as, basically, and we're going to save these results out into a VRML file. The nice thing about the VRML file is that the colors from the stress plot are also included in that. So if we go back and look at the camera, you know, this is also printed on the J750, and it's got all the stress analysis colors from that. So we've done a couple, you know, deformed shapes for, you know, impact loads on helmets and things. But for the spinners, it's just another way of getting us a little bit more colorful version. Okay. So it's kind of amazing. You know, I brought a couple. My kids didn't know I stole them, but I stole some of these. These are, you know, store-bought, you know, spinners. That's kind of, you know, giving us some examples to go off of. But we've done a few other interesting things. We've definitely got just a simple tri-lobe version, like the stress analysis version. But this one we kind of changed around a little bit. We've got some little landing spots on both sides. So we've done this a couple different versions. This is one where we put pressed in some pennies on both sides. I like the newer pennies with the fancier logos. And then we've got another one here with nickels. Again, some people like their spinners a little bit heavier. Some of them like them lighter. You know, definitely the heavier spinners are gonna spin better. This is Jeff's spinner. It's got I think probably about a $12 bearing inside. Spins very nicely. One of the other guys did one of these with, I think, 4 lobes and quarters, but instead of a one nickel or penny or quarter on each side, it was actually solid quarters. So it's 4 quarters per lobe. So there's on the 4 lobe one, you know, you got $4 of just change involved in the spinners. Okay. Again, you know, we got a couple of different, you know, versions. Here's a kind of a squared off version. It's all about your creativity. I've done, you know, I've seen people do different logos, different, like one wanted they're into music, so they wanted a treble clef shaped, you know, spinner. You know, so it's just a matter of getting the model in your CAD package or downloading it from somewhere and then going in and 3D printing it. For the buttons that press into the bearings, we've got just some FDM versions. Got a little nice press fit into the bearing. You've got, again, the little bug logo going on. One on each side lets you hold it a little bit differently. We've done a couple for a local high school. We put their mascot on the bug and gave them some. Just how creative can you be? We've got, you know, some versions with, you know, this is limited edition, people's names, that sort of thing on the model as well. So it's kind of funny. We had a company event here, and, you know, several people from out of town. I had several of these spinners on my desk, and by the time the day was gone, they were all stolen or acquired, if you will. Okay. A couple other things on the PowerPoint here. We've got some other examples of different spinners. It's all about the different colors. Whether we even have one. This one's kind of funny. It's a propeller type design. Definitely is too big to hold in your hand and spin. But we've found that spinning it on your finger may be kind of fun. So a little bit different shape and idea. Okay. One more thing about the spinners that we've seen. They typically come with a little plastic case on them. Removing those guys for me is fairly easy. Just a matter of coming in and with a pocket knife or something, you can remove the little casing that tends to get them to spin a little bit better. Now, depending on how the part came to you, some of them are going to have a little bit of lubrication on the bearing. So sometimes that's nice to clean off, and maybe some alcohol or some laundry detergent almost cleans them off a little bit as well. But just different ideas you can do with the bearings. I think the ones that show the balls actually are kind of nice and pretty. So again, your creativity is the main thing. There's a few tools inside the software that make things kind of fun to go in and model up. Getting creative with the geometry. Going in and getting the spacing between the little balls there. How tight can we pack that in and still get the parts to print and then clean off. Get the balls not to fuse together with each other. So this is the last little slide here. We've got a couple different tools that we showed with the SOLIDWORKS, with the Stratasys printers. It'll be interesting to see once we get our desktop metal printers. We'll have some metal spinners, flying around. But we've got a bunch of different tools, like I said, that enable us the customers to reduce the cost, have fun. No, it doesn't say have fun on there. It says risk. Reduce the risk and time required to go live. But we thought this would be a fun little topic to cover, and maybe give you some ideas of some interesting things that you can do with your SOLIDWORKS, with your 3D printers. So again, my name is Tony Riggs with GoEngineer. If you guys have any questions, I've been trying to watch the questions in the webcast. I don't see any popping up right now. But my email address is just triggs@goengineer.com, and check us out on YouTube. We've got our own channel, youtube.com/goengineer. And thanks for joining us here on this GoEngineer webinar.